This is Chapter 4, Lesson 8, Divide Mixed Numbers. So, extreme geography. The deepest point in Earth's oceans is the Mariana Trench, which is located 6 4/8 miles beneath the ocean surface. The average depth of Earth's oceans is 2.5 miles. By contrast, the highest elevation of Earth is Mount Everest, which is about 5.5 miles high. So I want to write a division expression to find how many times as deep the Mariana Trench is than the average depth of the ocean. Okay. So the Mariana Trench is 6 4/5, and then I'm going to divide by 2 1/2. Okay. So number 2 says write a division expression to find how many times as tall Mount Everest is than the average depth of the ocean. So Mount Everest is 5.5 divided by the average depth of the ocean, which is 2 1/2. Okay. Now I want to rewrite the mixed number 6 4/5 as an improper fraction. So I'm going to take 5 times 6, which gives me 30, plus 4 gives me 34, and my denominator stays the same. Okay. Then I want to rewrite the mixed number 5.5 as an improper fraction. So 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11, so I get 11 halves. Okay. So in order to divide a mixed number by a fraction, dividing mixed numbers is similar to dividing fractions. To divide mixed numbers, I write the mixed number as an improper fraction and then divide as with fractions. Okay. When I'm dividing by a mixed number, I do the same thing. To divide a mixed number by another mixed number, change both mixed numbers to improper fractions, then remember to simplify before you multiply. Okay. The reason you do that is because then you don't have to deal with as many big numbers. So let's look at some examples. So example number 1 says find 1 3/4 divided by 2/5. So I'm going to change 1 3/4 to an improper fraction. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7, so I get 7/4 divided by 2/5. Remember, keep, change, flip, multiply, straight across. 7 times 5 is 35, 4 times 2 is 8, and then I can change back to a mixed number. 8 goes into 35 4 times with 3 left over. 8 stays the same. Number 2 says find 3 3/4 divided by 4/5. Okay. So 3 3/4 is about 4. 4 4/5 is about 1. 4 divided by 1 would give me 4, so I should have an estimate of around 4. So 3 3/4 I'm going to rewrite as an improper fraction. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15. My denominator stays the same. So I get 15/4 times, remember, keep, change, flip, 5/4. Then I multiply. I can't simplify anything, so I just multiply. 15 times 5 is 75. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 goes into 75 4 times. And I have 11 left over, so 11/16. Okay, so 4 and 11/16, it's close to 5. Okay. Number 3, find 5.5 divided by 2.5. So again, I change both of these from mixed numbers to improper fractions. 5.5 becomes 11 halves. 2.5 becomes 5.5, 5 halves. Okay. So I have 11 halves times 2 fifths. Remember, keep, change, flip. I can simplify 2. So I get 11 times 1, which is 11. 1 times 5, which is 5, which simplifies back to 2 and a fifth. Okay. Number 4 says find 4 2/3 divided by 1 3/4. So I'm going to change each of these into a mixed number, from mixed number to improper fraction. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. Keep, change, flip. Okay. I can simplify. 7 becomes 1, 14 becomes 2. Now I multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 goes into 8 2 times with 2 left over. So 2 2/3 or 8/3. Now on page 86, there are 6 try-it problems. Go ahead, pause the video, try them out, and when you're done, we will go over the answers together. All right, now that you've tried out the try-it problems, let's go over the answers together. Letter A says 2 3/8 divided by 1/4. So I'm going to change 2 3/8 into an improper fraction. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 plus 3 is 19. So I get 19/8. So I have 19/8 divided by 1/4. Keep, change, flip. I can simplify. 4 becomes 1, 8 becomes 2. And I multiply straight across. 19 times 1 is 19. 2 times 1 is 2. So I get 19 halves, or 9 1/2. Okay. Letter B says 2 1/2 divided by 3/7. So 2 1/2 is the same thing as 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, so 5 halves. 5 halves divided by 3/7. Keep, change, flip. Cannot cross simplify anything, so 5 times 7 is 35. 2 times 3 is 6, so I get 35/6. Which is 5 5/6. Letter C, 5 5/8 divided by 3/4. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 5 is 45. So I get 45/8 divided by 3/4. Keep, change, flip. Four becomes 1, 8 becomes 2. 3 becomes 1, 45 becomes 15. Now I just multiply straight across. So I get 15, and then 2 times 1 is 2. So I get 15 halves, or 7 1/2. Okay. Letter D is 4 1/5 divided by 2 1/3. So 4 1/5 equals 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21/5. And 2 1/3 is 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So I get 21/5 divided by 7/3. Keep, change, flip my second fraction. Can cross simplify. 7 becomes 1, 21 becomes 3. 3 times 3 is 9, 5 times 1 is 5. So I get 9/5, or 1 4/5. Okay. Letter E says 8 divided by 2 1/2. So 8 I'm just going to rewrite as 8 over 1. 2 1/2. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we get 8 over 1 divided by 5/2. Keep my first, change my sign, flip my second fraction. I cannot simplify, so I just multiply straight across. 8 times 2 is 16. 1 times 5 is 5. So I get 16/5, or 3 1/5. Letter F says 1 5/9 divided by 2 1/3. So 1 5/9. 9 times 1 is 9. Plus 5 is 14, so 14/9. 2 1/3. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So I have 14/9 divided by 7/3. I keep, change, flip. I can simplify. 7 becomes 1, 14 becomes 2, 3 becomes 1, and 9 becomes 3. 2 times 1 is 2, 3 times 1 is 3, so I get 2/3. And that is the end of lesson 8.